As the morning sun bathed the wide glass windows of Elite Motors in a golden yellow, the city was still trying to wake up. Inside, men in identical expensive suits, their smiles as fake as their sales tactics, were as polished as the reflections in the showroom. Lamborghini, Ferrari, Aston Martin, each one a silent shout of status with its shine. That morning, the woman who walked through the door was anything but flashy. Neither her simple beige blouse nor her navy blue jeans could compete with the million-dollar cars on display. But her walk, that walk reflected a character that had stood tall without bending over the years. She was Viola Davis. Viola Davis harbored no glitter or doubt in her eyes, only determination. That morning, she hadn't come to look at a showroom car, nor to ask about prices. She had come to reclaim what was rightfully hers. Sales manager Marco Rocha observed her from a distance, black, simple, determined, his eyes briefly furrowed. He didn't try to hide the faint hint of disdain. He approached her and smiled politely. "Good morning. Welcome. How can I help you?" In his voice, there was more of an unspoken, "What are you doing here?" than any real interest in her potential purchase. Viola Davis nodded. "Yes," she said simply. "I'd like to see the DB11. Marco's face tightened slightly. "The Aston Martin DB11, he said slowly. "This model is part of our exclusive collection, and its price is quite high. Perhaps our second-hand section might be more suited to you." Viola Davis looked at his face. She smiled. The smile wasn't polite, nor was it angry. It was simply a silence that said she knew better. "I want to see the DB11, she said again. Marco took a few steps back. Another employee, Rafael Silva, a young, attentive intern, was watching the scene. Viola Davis's presence had affected him. This woman had a purpose. And that morning, Rafael was about to witness a lesson not from books, but from life itself. Just then, a new customer couple walked into the showroom. They were white, wealthy, and flamboyant. Marco immediately turned and walked towards them, bowing and greeting them. Viola Davis was treated as if she didn't exist, as if she were just a silhouette reflected in the glass of the luxury cars. But Viola Davis was the protagonist of a story that couldn't be ignored. At that moment, outside the Elite Motors entrance, a car slowly parked. A black, shining, elegant Rolls-Royce. The door opened. The man who stepped out was Vitor Mendez, one of the wealthiest businessmen in the country. As he adjusted his jacket and walked into the showroom, his eyes immediately locked onto Viola Davis. "Viola," he said with a smile, "you've come right on time." The showroom fell silent. Marco Rocha's face turned pale, because Vitor Mendez, in front of everyone, was walking towards Viola Davis. He took her hand and said, "We're here this morning to honor you. The DB11 is now yours." Whispers filled the showroom. Marco froze. Viola Davis stood silently in the center of the showroom. Rafael couldn't take his eyes off her. There was pride in his gaze. Vitor continued. "At Elite Motors, we're entrusting Viola Davis with the coordination of the Elite for All program. As the new face of this showroom, you'll now represent inclusivity and equality." Rafael's eyes welled up. Marco Rocha couldn't speak. The man who had told Viola Davis to head to the second-hand section just a few days ago was now going to work under her. Meanwhile, a group of young, well-dressed, yet simply attired interns entered the showroom, each of them different in color, gender, and background. They would be interning here thanks to the program Viola Davis had created. Viola Davis turned to them. "Today marks a new beginning for all of us. In these showrooms, it's not just cars that should be displayed. Struggles, hopes, and opportunities should be shown as well." She then opened the door to the magnificent DB11. She sat down. Turning the key, the deep roar of the engine shook the showroom's windows. It wasn't just the sound of a car, it was the sound of change. In the following days, Hundreds of thousands of people watched the video on social media. The headline wasn't "Viola Davis bought the DB11, but Viola Davis took the wheel of change. Hashtags, TV channels, newspapers, everyone was talking about her. But for Viola Davis, what mattered wasn't becoming a trend or attracting attention. She had simply made a reality visible. 3 days later, Marco Rocha handed in his resignation. In his press statement, he said that he was now aware of his mistakes and realized just how many invisible walls he had built over the years. Viola Davis walked into the showroom that morning, just as she always did. But this time, although her walk remained the same, the people were different. There was now respect in their eyes. Raphael approached her. "Today, we welcome the first group of interns," he said excitedly. Viola Davis smiled. "Let's begin then, because this is no longer just a showroom. This is now a transformation center." As the sun filtered through the glass walls, it reflected off the DB11 surface. Viola Davis looked out the window, her gaze falling on the reflection of the Rolls-Royce. And at that moment, it wasn't just luxury that shone. It was the light of justice.